right, so we'll keep tips and tricks rolling here. Everybody keep the questions rolling in. If you want to ask these guys a little something, go over in the comments, and we'll try to catch up with a few more of the Q&A deals here in a minute. But we're going to kick Pollock aside and bring Benton back in. So, Drew, what do you have for us to talk about here in the tips and tricks segment?
So I have the Bagley B flat. It is, if you'll notice, it's a real slender flat balsa. And a balsa is kind of a niche bait, but whenever they're on it, they're on a balsa better than a plastic bait. And the reason why is you can get a half-ounce bait that weighs that much, the same as a plastic that's half-ounce. And this balsa is going to be so much more buoyant. It's going to deflect off cover more naturally. It's going to come through laydowns, the nastiest snags, a whole lot easier than a plastic bait because of that buoyancy. And the good thing about a flat bait is it's super natural. So those heavy pressured situations when the fish are not biting really well, particularly in the fall, like we're going to have some of these makeup events, this flat bait will get you bites when a normal crankbait will not. One of those wide wobble crankbaits won't get a bite. This one will. And that's the reason why people throw them so much in the cold water, because it's so subtle. And that time of year, bait fish are not real quick moving a lot of times. They're real subtle swimming. And this tight wobble action when it comes through the water gets you a lot more bites than a wide hunting action crankbait. And that's the reason why a flat-sided crankbait is so widely used, again, in those tough situations and in the cold water situations. I really like this bait anytime from pre-spawn all the way through the spawn. And when we go to places like Winyah Bay, Sabine River, I caught fish on it one time on the Ohio River in a FLW Series Championship in the fall when it was extremely tough, and 7 or 8 pounds a day did you really good. A flat-sided crankbait will bail you out a bunch of times. So, and the good thing about a Bagley bait versus, just a normal hand-carved balsa bait is it goes through a HCM process that Bagley's pioneered. So basically, in years past, when you would buy 8 or 10 balsa crankbaits, you might have to get 2 or 3 that's going to run good out of those 8 or 10. It's not the case with this process because they put it through a heat compression mold, and basically it takes all the voids out of the wood and compresses it. So each one of these baits is exactly the same from package to package. So you ain't got to worry about, buying half a dozen of them and getting 1 or 2 to run right. You're going to get each one you buy is going to run right. So definitely something cool that Bagley's is pioneered, and it's changed the way that I think of balsas and the way I fish them.